Podcast City Network.
Thank you for tuning in on this episode of The Everett Lee Show. But before we get on with the guest onto the program today, there's a couple things I do want to mention that you can help out with supporting The Everett Lee Show. If you're looking to start a podcast and already have a podcast and you're looking for an affordable podcasting hosting site, Podbean's your number one choice. Podbean offers statistics with in-depth analytics to manage your podcast needs. Use the promo code podbeam.com/pbsignup and get a free month off. That's podbeam.com/pbsignup to get a free month off and see why 1,500 episodes have been shared all over the world in the past 11 years with over 3,000 subscribers that have chose Podbeam as their number one hosting site. And if you're looking to get into advertising, Podbeam advertising, you'll get $100 off advertising when you sign up as a sponsorship over on podbeam.com/pro/pbsignup. That's podbeam.com/pro/pbsignup.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming back on The Everett Lee Show for a second round is one of the voices for Tales from the Indies with Michael McCormick. And you can catch him on FGW Shockwave every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. I want to welcome back to The Everett Lee Show none other than Ripper Blackhart.
How you doing, Everett?
I'm good. I am good. Just looking and tracking that damn tropical storm out in the Bahamas right now.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that. Wasn't today. The other day was on there. So yeah, that's one of the good things about living in the middle of nowhere is we don't hardly ever get earthquake, and if we do, it's next to nothing. There's no volcanoes going off. There's no hurricanes or tropical storms or in it. We get an occasional blizzard here or there, but
yeah.
Hey.
I lived up in Ohio. I know how it is. When winter comes, winter comes. It's like Game of Thrones. Buckle down because winter's coming.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, but the last couple times it's been like kind of mild winters the last couple times, and then like there in the home stretch, it just pounds you.
Yeah.
And you're but yeah. And what they say about Ohio weather is that you don't like it, just wait a day, it'll change. I mean, I've literally went to work where it's been nice and sunny, and by the time I leave, I have to have a winter coat.
Damn.
And yeah, it's crazy here in Ohio how the weather is.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I lived up there, I pretty much went out and did snowboarding during the winter because I lived out in 10 acres out in the middle of nowhere. So pretty much when school got canceled, when I was going to high school up there, I pretty much finished high school up there and graduated in 98. And when school would get canceled because of the snow, it's like, what are you going to do? Grab a snowboard, go out over in the neighbor's field there and avoid his cows and go off the hills and stuff.
Yeah, we've got a ski resort like 15, 20 minutes from my house called Mad River Mountain.
Uh-huh.
They have the snowboarding and the skiing and the tubing and all that stuff. So
yeah,
a bar and a restaurant there, and so yeah, a lot of that. I didn't do a lot of that. I go to the bar and watch because they had a window, big giant window, just overlooking the slopes. You just sit there, drink beer, watch people wipe out. You idiot! Now you're cold and it hurts, and I'm drunk.
That sounds fun. That would be something I'd like to do there. You ever sit there and catch yourself doing commentary? He's going down the hill. He's going down the hill. Is he going left? Oh, he's going right.
That's actually how I got started in it. Is when I would sit in the gorilla position with Big Tom. We would have a monitor watching it so guys could see their cues on when to go out and stuff like that. And I'd get bored and I'd start commentating on the match. And when when we had TV there for a bit, the one guy that they were going to have do it, he was a radio DJ. He ended up getting a job someplace else and left. So they asked me to be the color guy with the other one, and the rest is history.
History.
Yeah, who knew all them years ago that acting like an idiot backstage, I'd be commentating for like 3 or 4 different places, and I even got to do the Brian Pillman 10-year memorial show a few years back.
Nice.
Cody Hawk was like, "Hey, you want to come do this?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." But the other guy supposed to do it with me, he was coming from Canada, got held up the border. I had to do it by myself for the most part.
Damn.
And like I told you, play-by-play, terrible play-by-play. I've never seen the show that was recorded, and I would hate to listen to commentating on that. There was 2 spots. I had Jackson Breeze out there for a little bit, so that was somebody to play off of back and forth. That was good. And Truth Martini, a lot of people might recognize that name from Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
He was out there, I think, during 1 or 2 matches, but the rest of it, I'm like, oh God. And afterwards, Cody's like, "Oh man, I am so sorry that you had to sit through all that by yourself." And
right.
that, and dude, I just, like I said, I never heard it, but I would dread to listen to me try, because this is pretty much right after I first started doing it too. Mm-hmm. And as I listened to you and McCormick's show, and like McCormick said, there's no school for calling wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not the see, because I figured I'm the one that got McCormick into doing it, and I figured he calls sports, this should be pretty easy. But like he said, he was very robotic at first, and it took him. I bet you we did 4 or 5 DVDs before he started to finally loosen up and realize he's got to have a little bit of personality, even calling play-by-plays.
Yeah.
So, which. You're probably finding out.
Yes.
Now, you're calling some wrestling down there in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that came about when I was on furlough. I started back work June 22nd, and it happened right before, a couple weeks before I went back to work. Knockout Wrestling, Nicholas Vick, the promoter and owner of it, contacted me and said, "Hey, I like to, propose a couple things to you." And so I grabbed Chris Carnage, and one of the things was Podcasting Network being a sponsor, the main sponsor for Knockout Wrestling. So we got on the phone there and we talked about that. And then the other thing was proposed was Double Down with Everett Lee, which is a show they've here, I think in the next couple of weeks they're going to release the 2nd episode, and little spoiler, it's going to be with their World Heavyweight Champion, Venom. And it was just talking about with the talent with Knockout for Double Down. And then all of a sudden it was like, "Hey, you ever did commentary?" Like, no. But I thought about it because, like, as yourself, I know you and Michael and other people that's done commentary, and just I figured, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a try. Just try it and see what happens. And pretty much went back, looked at tape, looked at stuff. I looked at Bobby Heenan stuff. I looked at a lot of Roddy Piper from Superstars, because that's what I remember as a kid. On Saturday mornings, Superstars would come on, WWF Superstars. Vince McMahon, sometimes Honky Tonk Man, and Macho Man, and then Roddy Piper. I took Roddy Piper because I'm a Roddy Piper fan. Ever since he took that coconut to Jimmy Snuka's head, and listening to him on commentary and stuff, I just loved it, and I was like, that's what I'm going to use right there. So I used a little bit of that there, and Chris Carnage on the first. We already got the first 4 episodes already in the can, and they're just waiting to be released there. I think last week they released episode 2, but it was supposed to be me and Chris Carnage. However, Chris Carnage ended up getting COVID-19, and Yeah, and so he basically quarantined himself in the corner of his house there, away from his wife and 4 kids, for like 3 weeks, and he about tore the paint off the walls because it sucked. And I checked up on him. He was doing great. So I went to that June 20th show there. Knockout had Unfinished Business 2, which was outside. I got sunburnt, and basically, it was like, okay, now how are we going to do this? Chris is out. I can't get with him, can't be around him. What's going to happen? Well, Thumper Chapman, who is George Black, a new character he wanted to introduce, was right there when I was talking to Nick about commentary. And he said, I'll fill in for Chris Carnage. Nick was like, all right, let's see what you guys got. So me and Thump, we sat down. We got the tape of the matches. And we sat down, and he did commentary before. He pretty much did a lot here in wrestling in Florida for the last 20-plus years, so he had experience. So
Yeah.
I knew I was all right because I would, with being there with a veteran. So he pretty much helped me out with doing things in commentary. And he's like, look at this, look at that. He's like, focus on this. And pretty much we threw it together. Those first 2 episodes, I'm trying to get kind of comfortable. Like how, like you said, you and Michael, after the first few. Same thing. I can't wait for next week for episode 3 and the week after 4, because people is going to be like, wow. Because I went back and listened to it, and even the after we got done calling the match with Venom, basically Thump called him up and said, hey, or texted him and said, we got done doing commentary on our match. He said, I want to hear it. He's like, I want to hear it. So later that night or the next night, I sent it to him. I said, here's a little early preview. 10 minutes later, he blows up my phone. Oh, man, this is great. This is great. He's like, call me tomorrow. I got to talk to you. So I called him on my way home the next day, and Venom says, hey, he's like, I didn't really think much of that match. He thought it wasn't that great when he did the match and everything. But when he went back and watched it with me and George's commentary, he said it made it 10 times better. So I felt good there about that.
I've always thought as a kid, like, why or is there commentating? Why are they telling me what I see they were doing? But have you ever sat and tried to watch more than 1 or 2 matches with no commentating? It could be the greatest match in the world, and I'm still going to fall asleep because it's just, it just adds an extra layer to it that I think is needed for the storytelling part of of a professional wrestling match. Like I said, I just got a private message earlier this week from Joey Rogers. He used to be Go by Jerry Vengeance, and then started wrestling again under his real name. Trained with Big Guns Jeff Cannon in OCW, High Championship Wrestling. And he now lives, I want to say it's North or South Carolina, I'm not for sure, but OCW recently put out on, I want to say their YouTube page or Facebook page or something. It was a match between Joey Rogers, Jimmy Shane, and Juice Jennings. I can't remember if Juice was the champ or Jimmy, but all 3 of them have really got history together, and me and McCormick called that match.
Uh-huh.
Joey got a hold of me, and he's like, this is the first time I've seen the finished product of this match. And he's like, I just want to thank you for calling it. What you guys did, how you guys called it was perfect, and all this other stuff. And a lot of credit goes to McCormick when it comes to stuff like that, because he does his homework on it. He'll look up history about the guy or a title they're fighting for, or the history between them and all that, and brings it up within the calling the match. To that way, anybody like first time checking it out, they're kind of, oh, okay, well, this means something a little more. This ain't just a three-way dance match for a title. These guys got history. Joey and Jimmy grew up together, went to school together. Joey and Juice used to be a tag team here in OCW. Jimmy and Juice tag team in other promotions throughout, and they brought that up and how, they all intertwined they were all the young guns in that promotion. And like I said, that's what, to me, commentating, it adds a layer, keeps you interested.
Yeah.
It's just not, there's nothing, not saying that you can't have a match, a great match, without commentating on it.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying me personally, and like I said, when I was younger, I was like, this commentating's stupid. But now I understand, because like I said, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm old that I fall asleep too. It might not even be, it might just be because I'm closer to 50 than 40.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could be great matches, and I know they're great matches because I've seen them before.
Mm-hmm.
But commentating on it just it lets you know when to get excited about something, and it's how the voices, the pitch, and the foreshadowing and all that stuff, which I think is why I don't mind doing commentating, because I get to be part of it. Whatever stories happen, I get to be part of it. I get to make it better for the people watching them. And like I said, I lucked into this just like I lucked into doing the managing, just like I lucked into doing everything in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I don't know, you said you was doing them like you guys would watch tape and do it, so you're doing like post.
Yeah.
Have you? Now, is that all you've done so far as post?
Yeah, pretty much we've done all post already. Here, as things progress here, me and Chris has already talked about in the future here, eventually being at the, having everything set up to do live commentary right there. And that's one thing we discussed and talked about doing at one point, is doing live commentary. But for right now, with his work schedule, he pretty much, when he got his negative test and he was clear of everything, and his work was like, oh great, here you go, you're working 14 days straight, and it's like, damn. And he is going to be there on August 8th. They are having an event there at one of the, I forget where it's at off the top of my head here, but it's not far from us here. It's probably about an hour, maybe hour 45 to get there. It's up near Leesburg, Florida. It's at a VFW. It's going to have a low ceiling, but the owner, Nick, made sure, because of everything that's going on here with the COVID-19 and the social distancing and the mask and everything, he went and he's going to have the event. So fingers crossed, so far everything is going good, because with social distancing, mask and everything, temperature check, Nick's going by the book, and Nick will go by the book just to make sure. If he's going to put on an event and he has to do it like this and this, he is going to do it, and he is going to go by the book, because if one little thing's out of place, and if someone's there and they notice it, they could shut them down just like that, man. It'd be like, you're done.
Oh, no, I guarantee you there'll be somebody looking for it.
Yeah, you're the third person that said that already.
Just to be a dick, because that's how people are. People are assholes.
Yeah.
That's just people.
Yeah, but that is, right now, everything is pretty much post right now with commentary. It is post right now. But after the 8th, when Chris comes on to do it with me, oh man, I'm looking forward to that, because Nick and the production guy that handles Knockout Wrestling, they've already enjoyed, and a lot of the workers and talent has already enjoyed the commentary. And I told Nick and I told the production guy, I said, if you think that was great with Everett Lee and George Black, you ain't heard Chris Carnage and Everett Lee, because me and Chris, we've known each other for a long time, and we've been doing doing podcasting here for a long time. We're both comfortable in front of a mic. And Chris is a former worker too. He used to wrestle back years ago. He hasn't wrestled in about 7-8 years. Injury put him out, and he never did get back in the ring. He got married and had kids. Life happened.
Yeah, so I asked because I've done both. I've done post and I've done it live, and there's advantages and disadvantages to both.
There is.
Doing post, at least you're seeing whatever they've edited together.
Yeah.
So you're calling what the viewer is seeing. As if you do it live, you're sitting somewhere, they go off somewhere, people stand in front of you, whatever. You miss something, you can only guess what's going on, like on the other side of the ring, outside through the crowd, because you're at a booth on the other side of the building.
Yeah.
But you get better raw emotion, better reaction to things going on live than in post. Because in post, most of the time, I'm on those shows anyway.
Yeah. So
I've already seen it. Whereas when it's live, this is the first time you're seeing it. So your reaction is more pure. You're going to more genuine reaction.
Right.
And it won't feel so staged or whatnot. I like I said, pros and cons. Either or, it doesn't matter. I like live if I'm in a position I can see everything.
Mm-hmm.
If I can see everything, I'm live, I can see everything, that's what I would prefer.
Right.
But if not, I'll take post. That way I don't sound like an idiot while somebody's watching this and I'm talking about something that they're not even seeing, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to go back. You said about the social distance and all that, and have an event. I said, Ohio, we still can't have any wrestling.
Yeah.
Some people's gotten creative with keeping things like OCW does a call-in show on Facebook Live every so often. Like they'll have it's the general manager, and he'll have one of the wrestlers or one of the personalities, and they'll put up a number, and you can call in and talk to them, and they put it on Facebook Live, right? And sometimes, I've called into it, and another manager, Agent Nick Hahn, he called into it one time, and sometimes the wrestlers will call in trying to keep things going. And then, of course, FGW, we've had on the bingo, Facebook Live bingo.
Yeah, I seen that, man.
And what it is FGW is still paying rent on a building that, they can't get any income out of because they can't hold events.
Right.
So they did the bingo. They just did another car wash.
Yes.
This past day.
Yeah, congratulations on that, man. That was pretty damn successful there. I mean, both car washes have been successful there. That's fantastic, man. You guys are making amends any way you can, which is fantastic.
So, well, you said about holding events. So we have the space. We can't have wrestling.
Right.
But this Friday night at the FGW Arena, they're having a variety show.
Yeah. Tell me about that. I saw the post. I said, variety show? What the hell's a variety show?
It's like an old-fashioned variety show, different acts, doing different things. And Cody and Brian have found out what they have to do. So there's limited seating. The last I knew, there was 4 tickets left for it to be sold out. I think they can get 60-some people in there. Something like that. So I think they had 4 tickets as of this afternoon left.
Wow.
But they have the seating set up so that it's, the social distancing, have to wear a mask, have to get the temperature checked, all that jazz. But, you got a couple of guys like Tricky Mickey Mavis also does comedy on the side.
Oh.
So he's going to be doing that. Justin Dream's going to try his hand at it as well. Got a lot of musicians like referee the referee Glenn and Harley and of course Ricky Glam and Ryan Wild. They all play instruments, so they'll be doing some music.
Nice.
Deacon Ronald's going to be giving us some magic.
Oh.
I'm trying to think what else. And Cody Hawk and Big John Murray, bodyguard to the stars, Brett Michaels, head of security.
Yep.
They'll be doing some storytelling. So, and who knows what else will pop up between now and then, So,
is Ripper Blackheart doing anything?
At the time, I didn't know if I was going to have to work my shoot job or not. So,
yeah,
I didn't commit to anything, but I did tell Cody that if they need some filler or something, I can do some bad impressions.
I'd love to see that, man. I would grab one of those tickets just to see Ripper Blackheart do some bad impressions.
Well, I know I think they're going to be filming it, so I don't know what they're going to be doing if they film it. If they're going to put it on as an episode of Shockwave, or if they're going to just put it out on what's the new site everybody's getting, the Patreon or whatever it's called.
Patreon.
Yeah, that's
Patreon.
It.
Yeah.
So they may set up one of those, because there's been discussions of setting up one of those for FGW and putting exclusive material on there, just some kind of income,
right,
for the promotion as a whole. Like I said, and we got that going on. But then, see, I work for a group in Lima called War Wrestling, and the thing with FGW is there's a lot of people within an hour that work for FGW, so it's no big deal for them to come do stuff.
Right.
All the time.
Right.
War, on the other hand, we have a crew that comes in from Chicago. We have a crew that comes in from Detroit area, Northern Ohio, Southern Ohio, Indiana, all points in between. So it's kind of hard to get them guys to come up and do something for 2, 3, 4 hour drive for nothing. Because, like I said, he's got storage bills and stuff, which all the surplus he had set aside for these shows that he had coming up that all got canceled.
Right.
It's all gone because he's had to pay rent all these months on the storage facilities and all this holds the staging and the lights and the ring and all that stuff. So when he comes back, he's like, and that's been around for 17 years.
Yeah, War Wrestling has been around quite a while, man. Because
and it's going to be like starting from scratch.
Wow.
All over again when it gets the green light.
Have you heard anything about maybe when and possible that they're going to start doing anything with wrestling? Because I kind of mentioned this with Michael when I had him on last week about how hard the Ohio Athletic Commission is. They could be buttheads from what I understand. They're pretty stern and strict on everything because a lot of talent that's in Ohio. Hell, they've been going to Indiana, Kentucky, and outside of Ohio just to find work to do shows.
Yeah.
I
mean, Shauna Reed, I think she was in Kansas. She's got one in Kansas coming up. You know, it's just I know a lot of guys been going to Indiana and Michigan that are Ohio-based wrestlers because they're open and they're allowing them to put on shows and whatnot.
Right.
They keep having meetings, and it's like every time they have a meeting, nothing's really decided.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that they're not allowing it.
Right. They're pretty much nah. We're not at this time. Not at this time. I feel for you. I even told Michael I feel for you guys, man, because I know how you're seeing everything else going on around you. Especially here in Florida, shows happening here and there, and then when it comes to you, you're just, come on, man. Look, look at everyone else. They're doing social distancing. Everyone's wearing masks. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. Why not Ohio? Do you think that Ohio is afraid they may become like a hot spot like here in Florida?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And not only that, they just changed it back to where the bars have got to close. I think at 10 or 11 now.
Mm-hmm.
They went back to that.
Right.
Here just this week or so, and made the mask mandate. You have to wear a mask in public now, whereas before it was kind of lax. Do, don't, whatever. Now it's almost every store or anything open to public demands that you wear a mask when you come in. So, and it's, I don't like to get political and get into all this stuff, but it's just people being stupid. We'd be over this by now.
Yeah.
I don't know why Joe Blow on the internet thinks because he says he ain't going to shop at Menards because they make him wear a mask, that Menards gives a shit. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They'll get by without your money.
Exactly.
Everybody's not going to fold to you.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
That's in the city that I have to go work in. I've been working in for the last month. They passed a mask mandate where every business you walk in there, you have to wear a mask. You can be out in the parking lot from going from your car to the building. Before you go inside, you put the mask on, you go in. Okay? That's I mean, how hard is that? And when they first did that at the place I was working at, people were sitting there complaining about it, and I was like, you know what? Why do you want to make a political stance right here in a place where no one cares right now because they come in shopping and that's it? Go to City Hall, go out front there, get your little signs, get the lynch mob, and make some noise if you don't like it. No one cares right here. You're trolling 50 years.
I work in a factory and we got to wear them.
Yeah.
So yeah. And that building, there's no air. It's not air conditioned in that building because there's dock doors that are open all the time. So that'd just be a waste of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to wear a mask by time I'm in there till the time I'm out of there. I can take it off at breaks to eat and drink.
Right.
But then it's right back on.
Yeah. And
that's what. But then again, what do you expect from Americans? This country was founded on, fuck you, I ain't going to do what you tell me to do.
Yeah.
If that was the case, we'd still be British.
Exactly.
I mean, I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, but at the same time, that was how many years ago? I'd like to think there's more smart people than there are stupid people, but the internet continuously proves me wrong.
Exactly. Don't you feel sometimes the internet has given voice to people who don't need that voice?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear the opinion of the kid who ate paste in school. All right.
Exactly.
You failed science, but you're going to tell me what, no. If everybody would have done what they're supposed to do, we'd been over it by now.
Right. Now, I do get on. I hate going on Facebook because I'm seeing all this stuff here. So every once in a while, I kind of throw out a little bit of humor there. I put out a post there of Bane there, and I said, "This is my Halloween costume this year. No one copy me."
Yeah.
just joking about that. People thought that was funny. And, it's like I try to take some stuff there that I know it's like people take too seriously. Yeah. But I try to, kind of lighten it up there. It's like, what?
Anybody who's ever got on my Facebook, to tell you, that's all I do is just post shit. I don't. I try not to be. There's enough of that.
Yeah.
You want to be, and if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just know that I'm just scrolling past your shit. I'm not even. Here. If you ain't got a funny ass meme, if you ain't posting funny ass memes or smart ass post, then I ain't got time for you.
I've been posting a lot of that, man. You haven't seen my stuff. You've been scrolling past my stuff, man. I've been putting. You have.
Goddamn Everett. Why does he keep showing up in my timeline? I don't even remember friending him.
One night, I was just sitting there looking at memes, and I started laughing, and I was like, "All right." And then I came upon a bunch of Stone Cold memes, so I was putting them out there. I put one out there that said, "Stone Cold memes is coming for your ass," and it was like a picture of like Game of Thrones, but it had Stone Cold's face on it. So right after that, I started posting a bunch of Stone Cold memes that I thought was funny, and I threw them out there. And a lot of people liked them. They're like, "Oh, this is some funny stuff." And then I've been going on the watch section on videos on Facebook, and then I've been typing in. I think of a band. I'm like, Primus.
Yeah, I mean,
and then I'd see a music video, and I share it. And
I do that too. I just put random videos on there for the hell of it.
I do too.
Just something to break up the bullshit.
Yeah, I am trying to break up the bullshit. You nailed it right there. I found this video of Jason, Aquaman. Jason, I can't even say his last name.
Jason.
There was a video I typed in Pantera the other night, and I was scrolling through, and he was backstage at a show with Phil Alonso from Pantera. And I was like, man, I didn't know this guy's a metalhead. He was there with his son. And then when they were doing a cover of Pantera, This Love, he comes out there and he's headbanging with his son and everything and screaming, singing to Phil. I was like, Dan, how did I miss this, man? So I shared it. And people
I was going through like old 80s, just random 80s stuff.
Yeah.
There's a song, the old song, I Want to Be a Cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you seen that video?
Years.
All right. One of the outlaws in it is Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead.
Oh, no way.
And
I can look at it now.
What? Why is Lemmy in this video?
Yeah.
And did I totally erased that from my memory? Because I'd seen that video probably a million times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
How did I not go, like, a few years later when I discovered Motorhead, go, wait, he looks familiar. But yeah, I went by and I'm watching it, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. It gets a little bit closer. I'm like, holy shit! Because it's like, it's just a super 80s pop song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if anybody who knows anything about Motorhead, there is nothing pop song about Lemmy Kilmister, but he in this video, and it blew my mind.
That's great, man. Speaking of metal, Metallica. I'm excited. August 27th or 28th, Metallica's coming out with S&M 2. I loved how they did the first one because a lot of the songs you can add an orchestra to, and I remember watching behind the scenes on that when the first one came out in '99, and they were talking about they at that time their library they had, I think it was like everything from Kill 'Em All the way up till I think it was the Black Album and Garage Days, and they tried different songs with an orchestra. A lot of it worked, a lot of it didn't work, and they went with what worked, added 2 new songs, and it was great. Now they're coming out with S&M 2 with some of their songs, updated new songs from Death Magnetic and Hardwire Self-Destruct with an orchestra. Watching the trailer for that got me pumped up, man, because I'm a Metallica fan. I've been a Metallica fan since I was like 14. I remember when the Black Album came out, and I'm like, this band is just so great, and listening to them, getting into them, and going back to their back catalog of stuff from And Justice for All, Master of Puppets. I mean, I love them. I know people's like, oh, I can't stand them, or I love them. I love them, man. I don't care if you love them or hate them. I love their music. It just gets me so pumped, especially when you're driving to work. You're trying to get to work and you're late, and then you're driving down the road, and all of a sudden you have Sirius XM on. You got it on the metal station, and then Metallica comes on. Yeah, getting to work gets there. You get there really quick.
I wish they would have went back and listened to some of their stuff on Saint Anger, so we wouldn't have to suffer through that.
Oh man.
Oh, that was so terrible.
You're gonna ridicule me if I tell you this right now. I like
It's my favorite album, isn't it, Everett?
no. I I like 2 songs off that album. Frantic and Some Kind of Monster. Because I love the bass, how that comes in on Some Kind of Monster. I just love that. But yeah, that album, I remember I went to the mall that day back when you had to buy CDs at the mall. Remember those days, man? You know,
Yeah, remember going to the mall? Remember being able to go to the mall?
Yeah, going to the mall,
Remember being able to just go to the mall?
Yeah, go to the mall, buy your favorite album, go in Disc Jockey or Camelot Music, and there it is on sale right up their new albums right in front there. It's like, oh, and then you're like, yeah, I want to get this, and then you got the annoying person, hi, welcome to Disc Jockey, hi, welcome to Camelot Music, we got this on sale, get it, yeah, shut up, I want this, you know. And I bought that album. I was so pumped. I was like, yeah, this is great, man, because I heard that one song I think they released for the single, and I figured the album was going to be 10 times better. I threw it in my CD player, drove from the mall home. By the time I got home, I ejected the CD. I walked in my house, and I was living with my dad at the time. My little brother was there. He's like, my little brother says, hey, where you been? I said, to the mall. He's like, what'd you get? I said, Metallica's new album. Oh, I said, here, you can have it. Enjoy. And I walked off.
Yeah. I just remember them playing the first single. I was coming home from work, and I was listening to station out of Columbus. And then, new Metallica, blah, blah, and they played it. I'm like, what is this? Why do I hear nothing but snare drum? That's
yeah.
terrible.
I don't know what Lars Ulrich was thinking about.
I don't know what he had on the other guys that they said, yeah, sure, we'll do that, Lars.
I'll tell you this, though. At one time on my old iPod before it got destroyed, my nephew got a hold of the bootleg album that was recorded right before James Hetfield went into rehab. Remember, they were recording that album? And then he went to rehab, and he was gone for like a year. And then a year later, he came back, and they recorded Saint Anger. Well, I had that album. He got a hold of it, and he put it on my iPod there. I had the album that would have been Saint Anger before Hetfield went to rehab. And that's when Bob Rock was, playing on bass before they got Robert Torello. They should have released that because that sounded like old school Metallica, man.
That's probably what happened. Hetfield left, and Lars was like, hey, I'm the senior member of the band.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
Yeah.
Hey, I got 2 words for you. Snare drum.
Yeah, it just killed me, but I liked it when they got with Rick Rubin for Death Magnetic because I've said this plenty of times. Rick Rubin was like, yeah, man, you need to play like it's 1984. And look what happened. Death Magnetic, dude, I love that album. But when I heard Hardwire Self-Destruct, I love the structures of the songs. Because
I think every band gets to that point where they're like, well, we want to be seen as artists.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit that you're an artist, especially in rock and roll. Rock out. That's what we want.
Exactly.
Stay with the one who took you to the dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's simple.
Mm-hmm.
But lots of them done it. I mean, come on. David Lee Roth went and did a solo career and remade California Girls wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But just the Gigolo, come on.
I love that.
You can't. Every time that comes on, I listen to Hair Nation a lot on XM.
Yeah.
Every time that comes on, it's either going to Ozzy Boneyard or Octane because I ain't listening to that.
I listen to those 2 channels, man.
That song was old then.
That was one of the first videos I discovered when I was 5 years old, watching MTV.
Just the Gigolo one?
Yeah. When I was 5 years old, I saw Van Halen jump and David Lee Roth doing the jumps and everything, I wanted to be I wanted to be like David Lee Roth, man. And then Billy Idol, dancing with myself, I wanted to spike my hair up like Billy Idol. And then when Dave left Van Halen or whatever, and then when he started doing that video there, I remember when they were playing out in rotation, and I'd sit there, and I was like 5 years old, just jumping up and down, dancing around. I'm just a gigolo. I don't know what the hell that meant, but it sounds cool. You know?
Terrible. Every time that comes on, I'm like, damn you, David Lee Roth.
Now, did Eat 'Em and Smile, did you like that album after that?
Yes,
That,
I like that one, and I like Skyscraper.
Skyscraper, oh, God. Steve Vai? God.
And I like A Little Ain't Enough.
Yeah.
Is that the name of it?
I have that one.
I know that was the name of the song on it. They had the devil on the cover of it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one too, but Dave, there's no way to make just a Gigolo a rock song. It's not.
Yeah.
It's.
He made it work though, because it was wacky. David Lee Roth was wacky, you know.
I just wish they'd stop playing on a Hair Nation. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody.
Play something from Skyscraper, Eat 'Em and Smile. Yankee Rose.
Yeah, well, they play Yankee Rose every once in a while. They play a lot more Yankee Rose than. I mean, it seems like it's on there awful lot. I mean, I think they played that more than it ever got played when it first came out.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't ever remember hearing Just the Gigolo this much.
I have all his solo albums. I have them on cassette and on CD, man. His solo albums. Yeah. He was my favorite. Van Halen, with Roth, I loved Van Halen. But I enjoyed the Van Hagar era. I did. Because they had some really good songs. And you'll ridicule for me this. I just have a lot of stuff where you can just jump all over me because I like, and you're like, why? I even had Van Halen 3 with Gary Sharon.
My brother had that one.
Yeah. I feel bad for Gary because he did that one album, and he did that one tour, and then they're like...
It was a weird fit. I mean,
yeah.
But Extreme, I liked Extreme, but
yeah,
that's Extreme and Van Halen. They're in the same genre, but they're two different animals.
Yeah, yeah. I even had the solo album on cassette of the guitarist from Extreme, Nuno Buttoncut. I didn't
know he had his own. When Nuno had his hands insured for like millions of dollars back in the day.
What? No.
Yeah.
No, you're shitting me, man.
A lot of celebrities did. He had his hands, and Mary Hart had her legs insured for like millions of dollars. And he did the same thing with his hands. I'm like, why? 10 years, nobody's going to know who you are except for people my age.
God, that's crazy. Were you surprised? I even said I had that cassette.
I didn't know he had a singles out.
My cousin found out about it. I don't know where he got his information at back in the day there. I think it was like Metal Edge or something. And he said, hey, Nuno Buttoncup's coming out with a solo album. I said, what? We went to the mall. And he bought it. I bought it. And on the way home, he popped in the cassette. We listened to it, man. Dude. That is some crazy guitar playing shit. He
was good.
His style on that, he had alternative rock to hard, like fast rock to mellow to acoustics. He threw all his influence into it. I think it's a great solo album. I do.
Yeah, surprised I didn't know about it because I have a lot of weird stuff. Like you ever heard of the band Arcade?
Yes.
Very few have.
Yeah.
Stephen Pearcy, lead singer of Rat, Brett Curry, drummer from Cinderella, and those are the two main guys that everybody heard of. They had 2 albums. I had them both.
Yeah.
Hardly anybody else knew about it though.
Yeah.
I get stuff like that. There's lots of bands. There was a band out called Gun. I loved them, and I I only found the one album of them when they first came out. I don't know if they did another one or not, but
Yeah.
I still, like I said, cassette. I had tons of cassettes back in the day. That was that
Me
that
too.
one. Shotgun Messiah, which they're starting to play on Hair Nation now a little more regularly.
Yeah.
That was another one of those bands that was out there. And then the Electric Boys, everybody thought was going to be the next big thing. They had that hit, Mary in the Mystery World.
Yeah.
And everybody, it's kind of got a Beatles feel to it. And it's going. I never heard anything from them after that.
Well, that's like remember Dokken. Remember when Dokken broke up and George Lynch went on solo?
Lynch Mob.
Okay, remember the singer from Lynch Mob? After Lynch Mob did the 2 albums and they parted ways, Dokken got back together and did that 94 album with George Lynch and Don Dokken and the rest of the band. The lead singer of Lynch Mob went on to form and put out 2 albums of another band called Cry of Love.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, dude, I'm giving you some stuff to look up, man. Yeah, I think Cry of Love. That was pretty good. The first album, it sounded like Lynch Mob, but the second one was a little bit more laid back, but it still rocked. It was called Cry of Love, and then they were going to do a third album, and then the band, they just broke up. They're like, nah, let's forget it, and they just parted ways. But yeah, there's some crazy stuff. Remember the band? I can't think of the name. It's Steve Vai, Joe Santarante, and Eric Johnson. Remember that one? G3, I think it was. I think that was it. That they put an album out.
Vaguely remember that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good. My cousin had that on cassette and CD. He exposed me to a lot of music back in the day. This is around 97, 98, 96, 97, 98. And he exposed me to a lot of that stuff that he grew up with there. And he was big into Queensryche. Queensryche was his band, man. I remember.
Is there a better rock and roll singer?
Oh God.
Than Jeff Tate.
Yeah, he's great, man. I played the hell out of that song that was on Guitar Hero that Queensryche had. I can't think of the name of it. I can hear it in my head. It was off the Empire album. I can't think of the damn name of it. Jet City Woman. I love that song, man.
Favorite.
Oh God, I just love the vocal range of him and the bass, just the bass to that song, man. It's just
before that
awesome.
album, like my buddy had one of their first albums. I think it's called Rage to Order. That's when they were still wearing like the eyeliner and the makeup and all that. But
yeah,
and I was like, yeah, they're all right. But then Operation Mindcrime came out.
Oh God, yeah.
God, what is this?
That's a good concept album. You know that was basically it told a whole story. The whole album was a whole story. Every song was a story.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I like a concept album that tells a whole story. It starts out and the whole songs all connect together, and you have to listen to it like all the way through to get the whole story.
I love Operation Mindcrime. I think it's one of the greatest rock and roll albums of all time.
Yeah, that. I definitely have to agree with you right there, because that right there, it's when I think of Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, man. I love that. I love that there. I do want to mention this right here. I want to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive more into the conversation right here. But first, there's a couple things I do want to mention. Since 1995, HighSpots.com has grown to be the company it is by serving the wrestling fans throughout the world with a great selection of merchandise. HighSpots.com has everything a wrestling fan could want, including the latest WWE and TNA releases, classic wrestling merchandise, and their HighSpots.com exclusive releases. HighSpots.com is the leading online retailer for professional wrestling and mixed martial arts, offering autographs, figures, DVDs, apparel, wrestling gear, and even wrestling rings. Their largest clients include WWE, Impact Wrestling, ROH, and AEW. Click on the High Spots logo on the Everett Lee Show page over on podcasty.net to order. Whether you are a wrestling fan, pro wrestler, or promoter, you can find what you're looking for at highspots.com. If you grew up as a kid in the 1980s or just a fan of 1980s pop culture, then ADTs is for you. ADTs sells a huge variety of licensed t-shirts featuring characters, movies, TV shows, video games, and music stars from the 1980s through today. They also have great costumes from 80s pulp culture too. ADTs.com sells officially licensed pulp culture t-shirts. As you might guess, their focus is on the 1980s, but do sometimes sell other cool pulp culture related tees. 80s Tees has been in business since 2000, meaning they like retro 80s stuff too before it was cool. Follow the link provided in the description section of this episode for more. 80stees.com.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
Talking about music, just last week or this week here, I spent 2 days going back and watching the Dark Knight Trilogy. I haven't seen it in a very, very long time.
Oh, really? I watch it, at least one of those movies probably every other month.
Well, let me tell you how this happened. I was talking to our good friend J.J. McGuire on Sunday night. I was talking to him. I called him up, see how he was doing, and we had our normal almost 2-hour conversation, just shooting the shit. And we started talking about cameras and talking about photography and 70 millimeter, 35 millimeter. And I said, Christopher Nolan, when he did The Dark Knight, he did something at that time no one did before. And he said, what's that? I said, he used an IMAX camera to shoot a feature-length film. I said, at that time, 2008, IMAXs were used for, like, National Geographic.
Yeah,
and
documentary things.
Yeah, nothing for, like, an action movie. And the cameras, I guess, the way they are and built at that time, you couldn't move them. And
yeah,
Christopher,
funky.
Yeah. Christopher Nolan figured a way to do it. And I was telling him, and he thought it was neat. I said, they told him, it's like, you can't shoot a movie like that. And he's like, the hell I can't. And he proved them. And I told him, I said, if you watch the opening sequence of The Dark Knight, that was all shot with those IMAXs. And he said, no way. I said, yeah. And then when I was talking to him on the phone, Ripper, I pulled up online a site that talks about films, that everything they used. He stuck to traditional filmmaking and used real. And he used
they flipped the truck.
Mm-hmm.
No CGI. They flipped the truck.
Yeah.
The semi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
remember watching the documentary or something about that. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm not using that special effects. We flipped that truck."
Yeah, about the only CGI they used was for Harvey Dent when he got his face burned off. That was it, and he used a digital filter to put over his film on the 70 millimeter. And I was talking about it, and I got really excited talking about it with him. And after I got on the phone with him, I said, "You know what? I got all 3 of those on Blu-ray. I just hooked up my back speakers for my surround system, and I got it all set up for digital sound." I said, I'm going to go back and watch those. So Monday night, after I got my daughter to sleep, I got in the living room. Wife went to work. I put in Batman Begins. And I had to turn it down a couple times. You know the part where he's about to bust the mob boss there in Batman Begins? He's in where the containers are and stuff?
Yep.
that surround going around and stuff and everything. You could hear going all around because I set it up where it had true 5.1 HD sound. Oh God, dude. I sat directly where I could hear everything. Ripper, watching it on Blu-ray and watching that. God dang, dude. I thought I was in the theater. I was sitting there. I was getting just goosebumps. I'm like, man, this is great. This is how you watch a movie.
Yeah,
And,
I love, like I said, everybody, it's no secret my favorite all-time character is Batman. A lot of people, they either love, there you go. You either love or hate the Nolan trilogy. I like it.
I do.
I love it because they showed that he was just a mortal man.
Yeah, yeah.
He gets up out of bed. He's real slow moving. And dark black and blue bruises on his back, and one of the perfect lines is it's like when he says Batman doesn't have any limits, and Alfred goes, yes, but Bruce Wayne does.
Yeah.
And then he's like, can't afford to know. It's like that's Batman. That's now the new one coming out. They said they're going to focus more on his detective skills, which I don't mind, but I don't know this kid.
Robert Patterson.
I've seen the pictures. I don't think he's got the jawline ain't there.
Yeah.
There's just something about it, but I reserve judgment until I see it.
Right. Now, how did you, when back in the day when they talked about rebooting Batman and they had Christian Bale, I was like, who the hell's this guy? And then they said, oh, he was in a movie back in the 90s called American Psycho. I was like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, about the serial killer.
He's the little boy in Empire of the Sun.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
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 I knew him from American Psycho, but right before that, he was in a movie with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
What's the name? Reign of Fire.
Reign of Fire. Yes, I remember Reign of Fire.
So
yeah.
I just seen that when they announced. It hadn't been very long since I seen that movie when it came out. Like, all right, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah.
But nobody batted an eye. But back in 89, 88, 89 is when it came out, so it would have been 88, maybe even 87. They said Michael Keaton is Batman.
Yeah, I remember.
People were losing their minds. They were like, "What?" And he did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Then I went back and I rewatched those too, the Michael Keaton ones recently. It's probably been a couple months ago, but I noticed something that was off though. That in that he played Bruce Wayne being socially awkward.
Yeah.
Which Bruce Wayne is not. Bruce Wayne, I think Christian Bale nailed Bruce Wayne.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When he's acting like the douche and at the hotel and stuff like that. That's why he's supposed to be this flamboyant playboy in the Gotham City scene.
Yeah.
He's an entrepreneur millionaire, but he's also kind of a party guy and all this, which they didn't really portray that with Michael Keaton. He was very, when he was around people, he was very awkward. He was awkward with her, kind of awkward with Knox there when they were talking about the article.
Yeah.
Which is more of a Peter Parker thing.
Yeah.
In Spider-Man than a Bruce Wayne, and I'd never really noticed that before because I was just so thrilled at the time when that came out that there was a Batman movie and it wasn't the Pal Zam Zip. It was a darker Batman like I read in the comic books.
Right.
And not the hokey, which, without that, I wouldn't have the love for Batman that I had because that was kind of my first introduction to Batman. That and the Super Friends cartoons back in the day was really my first introduction to Batman. And then the comic books and everything else out of it. But yeah, like I said, I just went back and watched that. And I'm like, I never really. And my wife kind of pointed out too. She was just sitting there watching. She hadn't really watched him, and she's like, "He kind of awkward." I said, "Yeah, he is." I said, "That's not really how the character should be played." But
Right.
and he was like that in the second one too, with when him and
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer and
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah, when I look at the Dark Knight Trilogy, it seems like one giant movie, and they just chopped it off into 3 parts. And when I look at the Dark Knight Trilogy, I like Batman Begins because it gave more of an insight of this guy wanting to do good for a city that he cared about, and I liked the interaction he had with Ra's al Ghul because it showed more of an interaction, and I loved the fact that you had Scarecrow because back in the day, before like Batman Forever and the Batman and Robin, I was talking with my friend. We were talking about Batman Returns. And he said, it'd be cool, man, because at that time, the Batman animated series, I love that. I watched it after school every day. He said, it'd be cool, man. And I said, what's that? He said, it'd be cool if we actually saw like a live version of the Scarecrow. I said, yeah, that would be cool. He says, yeah. It's like he'd scare people, and we get to see from their point of view, like, them freaking out with the fear serum and stuff. I said, that would be cool. I said, I doubt that they'd ever do that. Batman Begins rolls around. I loved how they kept Crane around, through the 3 movies.
Yeah, he's in every movie.
Yeah, I love that because I still laughed. I was laughing my butt off because when he was on the horse there, and he's sitting there, giving that speech and everything, and the kid's freaking out, and you've seen from his point of view and stuff. And then, what's her name, just like, psst, tasers him, and he runs off. I just love that. And I loved how he was trying to figure out things. I think that's what I loved about Batman Begins, because it's like he had an idea, he went halfway across the world, and got down and dirty to basically get what he needed to become a symbol to fight crime in Gotham. And even with the Dark Knight, I caught something I didn't really caught before, because basically it was like that he was basically trying to clean up the town. And then you had the Joker come in, and he he threw Batman off his game. And Batman, it was like when he thought he was one step ahead of the Joker was right there ahead and ahead and ahead. He planned everything out. I thought it was brilliant. And I liked how Harvey Dent snapped after what's her name died. I thought that was really, really good. Sitting down again. I haven't watched in a while and watching it. But then when it comes to the third movie, it's like the fall of a hero, and you rise from the ashes one last time. And I liked what they did with Bane, because I know you being a big Batman fan, have you ever seen Bane portrayed in that type of way? He was more like a muscle, right?
I liked him, but still, that's not Bane. They still didn't do it right.
They did?
They did a horrible, horrible job with him in, what was it, Batman and Robin?
Yeah, that was
Was,
horrible.
but he still, I want the tubes. I want the venom. I want him to get big.
Yeah.
I want that.
He was big.
But he's also supposed to be smart. See,
they
had the whole thing with the him getting big and all that in Batman and Robin, but they made him a mindless idiot. No, Bane is like super smart.
Yeah.
But he's also, I want him to be able to, hit the button and he gets even bigger than what he is. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's But Nolan's trying to ground everything in the real world.
Yeah, and
Understood it, so that's why I could enjoy that take.
yeah,
The take he did on him, where he made him more of like a terrorist.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like I said, the Batman Begins is the first live action true origin story of Batman.
yeah,
Because you've seen where, his parents get shot and then boom, he's Batman.
yeah,
No, they never showed you what happened between here and here until Batman Begins.
yeah,
And they show you all that. The Dark Knight, I was like, how are they going to top this? And they didn't. I'm sorry, they didn't. The Dark Knight Rises is a good bookend to a trilogy.
yeah,
But out of the three, it's the weak. It's the weak one. I don't know why. It just feels that way. It just feels there's just a little bit something missing. But as being a part of a trilogy, it's a good bookend.
yeah,
The Batman Begins is a great start. The Dark Knight is phenomenal. The good thing about Dark Knight, and I say the same thing about the Captain America movies, the first one in Winter Soldier. Take the costumes off of them. You don't even know it's a superhero movie.
right,
Dark Knight's the same way. You take him out of the bat suit, wipe the makeup off Heath Ledger, and it ain't any different than any other crime or or guy going against terrorist movie. And the Captain America, especially Winter Soldier, it's a political thriller.
yeah,
I mean, like I said, you take the costumes off these guys and take away the superhero names, and they're still really, really, really good movies.
oh yeah, yeah. And you know what I think about the Dark Knight, if you think about it, because when he made himself after Batman Begins, if you think about it, he made himself a symbol of fear because everyone feared him. And then you had this guy come out of nowhere that was crazy, and just like Alfred said in the movie, money, he don't care about that, nothing. He just wants to watch the world burn. Basically, it's everything that it was like trying to maintain order as a vigilante for the city. And you got this wild card come in, and it just flipped his world upside down.
Joker is complete chaos.
Yeah. And
there's no rhyme or reason for what he does.
Right. What I like, one of my favorite scenes out of The Dark Knight is, of course, the opening scene when they're going to the bank and robbing it and stuff and everything. I love that. I love how that was shot. Even with Hans Zimmer's music, it just amplified it much more better. And through all those movies there, all three of them. But then another favorite part was when the Joker got caught, when you thought Commissioner Gordon was dead, and when he was in the interrogation room with him, when he walked out and the light turned on, Batman was behind him. The first thing that came to mind was Killing Joke for some damn reason, you know? I love that interaction with Batman and Joker in that interrogation room right there. And I read about this, and then when I watched it, I was like, I caught it. You know, when he first came to go after Harvey Dent after he took out the judge and the commissioner, you know, when he showed up at the party and he was like, I'm looking for Harvey Dent. When he came off the elevator, and then you saw Michael Caine was like, you know, shocked. That actually, Michael Caine did not see the Heath Ledger in the outfit or anything beforehand, and that was the first time he seen him in the outfit. So his reaction was real, man. That's what I love about that part there too. Michael Caine, he was like, "Oh shit," you know.
And he was perfect as Alfred.
Oh, I loved him as Alfred, man. And I like Morgan Freeman's character. He's like, "What is it today, Mr. Wayne?" He's like, "Usually with these, there's a request." But
So you plan on doing a lot of mountain climbing, do you?
Yeah. You going base jumping today?
Base jumping, that's what I was planning on doing. Base jumping.
Yeah, I love that stuff, and I
And
also loved.
all that stuff is real stuff.
Yeah,
Even the Batmobile from that movie is an actual thing that the military had and didn't follow through with. The gun, the grappling hook gun, somebody out there that was made beforehand. All that stuff that he had him use, he didn't just create for the movie. That stuff is out there.
yeah,
And I thought it was great how he had it where he was like ordering the stuff and all that, and better do this many or else it looks fishy,
yeah,
And
yeah.
the Alfred, just Michael Caine, his wit.
Oh yeah,
Anyway, the way he delivers stuff, and who was it that did it in Justice League? Jeremy Irons.
yeah. Jeremy Irons, he was great.
He's it's all right, but man, I think it's going to be hard pressed to find someone better than Michael Caine because he was just.
Yeah,
Because that's what Alfred is. Alfred, before there was Robin and all that, Alfred was Batman's right-hand man, and he's the guy. And
yeah.
I thought he was brilliant in that.
Yet the Dark Knight Rises, they kind of changed things a little bit. I mean, like with Bane, like you said, they made him more of a terrorist, and I love the surprise twist with Ra's al Ghul's daughter. Being who she. You're finding out that's who she was, and then Selena Kyle. I mean Anne Hathaway. God dang! When I first saw the pictures of her on like the bat cycle, in the leather, I looked and I said, God dang, Anne Hathaway, man, makes me like leather a lot more. I liked her wittiness of how she carried herself as being a thief, because Catwoman's a thief, right? I mean,
Yes.
She played that down, and pretty much because my wife even said, at the end of that, it's like Bruce Wayne ran off with Selena Kyle. I said, well, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Ripper. Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Selena Kyle, I guess in the comics, did have a get together, and they had kids, which turned out to be birds of prey. Am I correct, or am I wrong?
They're
Or what?
yeah, they were back in the day when they had the multiple Earths on one of the Earths. They got together. They had a daughter, and she's the Huntress in that world.
Oh, okay.
But when they had the Crisis on Infinite Earth event in the comic books and put all the Earths and smashed them into one, that changed some things. And then the Huntress was a different character. But, however, recently, within the last few years, Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle did, in fact, get married in the comic books.
Okay.
So in the timeline as it stands now, Batman and Selena Kyle are married. But they have not, as far as I know, have children yet. Now, the current Robin in the comic books is Bruce Wayne's son that he had with Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia.
Wow. Man, that gets deep, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was a whole thing on that, too, where things got weird with that, too. But, yeah. But the Birds of Prey thing, that's because the Huntress was in Birds of Prey.
Okay.
And the original Huntress, as far as I know, originally she was the daughter of Batman and Catwoman on Earth 2 or Earth whatever they had her on.
Right.
But except once Crisis came, I can't remember her alter ego now, but her family's like a crime family.
Oh, really?
And she kind of broke away from that. Like they end up killing her boyfriend that she loved or something, so she becomes the Huntress. And if I remember right, it's been like you bring up the comic books. My wife decided to try to start inventorying my comics.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and I started helping her the other day, and I've surpassed 1,000, and I'm not even done.
God dang, man. That's more than what I have. I have a lot of
that's just the ones that it's you scan the barcodes on it brings it up, but some of them don't have barcodes, and then you got to try to manually find it. So we haven't gotten to all those yet. You got to manually find the cover to that,
right.
And then I got like indie stuff and other ones that don't have like comic books that you got from comic book shops where they don't have the barcode. There's like that square in the corner. It's got like Spider-Man's head on it or the Justice League symbol, and those you got to. So we ain't even gone through all those that we tried to do and we couldn't. We had set off the side for now. Already over 1,000. I've got a shipment coming from Brian, the owner of FGW, from his last Facebook Live. I dropped $105 on comics then.
Jeez.
2-3 weeks ago, because like I said, I'm to the point now. I didn't really buy comics to collect them.
Right.
I read them.
Yeah.
So a lot of mine are pretty beat up because back we folded them and everything else.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I still have some of them that are beat up. But then I have others, and I've lost some, or some's got destroyed over the years. So now Brian has these. When he has these Facebook Live auctions, they're all older titles. So I'm usually getting either replacing stuff from my childhood or getting key issues that I don't have just because I wasn't worried about that as when I first started getting into it.
Yeah.
Or just stuff I think is really cool. Like I got issue number 3 of Aquaman from the 60s from him like a month ago.
Oh, wow.
For less than $40.
Wow.
I mean, it's not perfect condition, but it's in good shape. And I was like, it was like 30-some bucks. I'm like, and it was, when am I ever going to get Aquaman number 3?
Yeah.
For less than $40.
Wow, that's amazing. I think it was around 2004, 2005. I jumped back in the comics there. I have somewhere, I got to look for it. I have issue 432 of Thor. I was a big Thor fan when I was about 11, 12 years old. Actually, it was 12, 13. I have issue 432 where Thor kills Loki and where he gets banished to Mephisto. And then when Eric Masters comes back, and when he strikes the stick and he turns into Thor, he has the look of Thor but the mind of Eric Masters. And I have that issue there. And they said it's pretty up there in the price. And back in 2004, 2005, I started getting the comics again. I started collecting I think it was like Amazing Spider-Man, Daredevil. I got to issue 50 where Daredevil, you probably know this one. He had enough of Kingpin running Hell's Kitchen. So Daredevil goes to Kingpin and he's like, I'm going to whip your ass.
Oh, yeah.
And he whips his ass in the streets of Hell's Kitchen and basically removes his mask, reveals who he is, and says, I am the new Kingpin of Hell's Kitchen, and you're all going to listen to me, because he had enough of it. And I remember that, man. It's just, he pulled that mask off, and he has Kingpin. He's holding him, and Kingpin's beat to hell, and everyone's like, Matt Murdock's Daredevil, and he's like, I'm the new Kingpin. I'm the Kingpin of Hell's Kitchen now. Issue 50. I looked at the price a while back ago, and the thing was like, I was like, oh shit, that's pretty good.
And I haven't even looked at what any of my stuff's worth.
Yeah.
Like I've got a Justice League when they relaunched them after Crisis and the Legends miniseries in the late 80s. I want to say 88, 89. I'm thinking 89.
Uh-huh.
They released the Justice League, which eventually became Justice League International.
Right.
Now, no Wonder Woman, no Superman, no Aquaman in this. There's Batman's in it.
Yeah.
He's more or less the leader. You got the Martian Manhunter. Those are the only 2 original members of the Justice League in this book. Blue Beetle, which is this is how I get introduced to the Blue Beetle character. The female Dr. Light, Dr. Fate, Captain Marvel, the real Captain Marvel, Shazam, Guy Gardner Green Lantern. My introduction to Guy Gardner, he's my all-time favorite Green Lantern. Who doesn't love Guy Gardner? I'm trying to think who else is in it. I want to say Mr. Miracle. So issue number 3, instead of saying DC Comics in the corner, it has Superman flying, and it says Superman Comics, and it's a different cover. And for some reason, Ohio got more of that special edition cover than anybody else, because I just picked it up at a local IGA grocery store back in high school.
Wow.
And it's like I said, it's an alternative to the actual. There's only so many of them made before they started making alternative covers for everything and destroying the market. So I have that same Justice League I have where Batman knocks out Guy Gardner with one punch. That's one of my favorites. You know, I've got all the I've got the original Kingdom Come single issues when they came out. Which was the first time Alex Ross did art for comic books.
Oh, I love his artwork.
And I got them all signed by Mark Waid, who wrote it.
Wow.
You know, I've got some stuff. I just don't. That's never been my reason for getting them. I mean, and you're never going to get. They may tell you it's worth that. Nobody's giving you that.
Yeah.
For it. You're never going to get what you want out of them. Which mine will probably go to I doubt my daughter wants anything to do with them. I'd probably go to my son if something were to ever happen to me. But yeah, I do have some key stuff here and there. Like I have all the Age of Apocalypse stuff when it first came out from the X-Men.
Right.
I have the original Secret Wars. I have the Secret War issue where it's the first appearance of Spider-Man in a black suit. I have the first Amazing Spider-Man with Spider-Man in the black suit. I have the Masters of the Universe miniseries from DC that came out right when the toy line came out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I have stuff. I just get it. I read it. I put it away, but now I don't even get the chance to read. I have so much stuff that I haven't read. Like the past 3 or 4 free comic book days, I've read nothing that I've gotten from there.
Damn.
And I've got.
Wow.
And not to mention Brian keeps having these things. I keep buying stuff from him. So.
Now, Todd McFarlane, do you have the Spider-Man cover or comic where he did the cover?
My brother does, and he gave me a bunch of this stuff when he moved. I don't know if that was one of them or not, because my brother is a huge Todd McFarlane mark.
Yeah.
Like Todd McFarlane is his comic book god.
Right.
Like Spawn, my brother had damn near every issue of Spawn.
Damn.
When he was collecting. He did not miss Spawn. And what reason he started buying Spawn is because he was buying Spider-Man when McFarlane was still working at Marvel.
Yeah.
And got hooked on the way McFarlane was drawing Spider-Man all distorted and the funky, and he thought that was cool. And then once he heard they were starting Image and Todd McFarlane had his own character and he was hooked, that was his guy. So if that's not, I know he kept his Spawns and he kept something else because he moved in with this girl and then he didn't. He's like, I'll never get anybody to buy these. He's like, you just want them? I said, yeah, I'll take them. And I haven't even got, that's one of the boxes. I got 2 long boxes from him.
Wow.
I haven't even been through that yet. So,
wow.
What's all in that? And that's not, like I said, that wasn't even all that he had.
Right.
And he's still buying stuff here and there. What we do now a lot of times, though, we go buy stuff, we'll wait till it comes in a trade paperback where they have the whole story arc together.
Yeah.
It's just easier when you're old. You ain't going to the comic book store every day when you're in your 40s.
Yeah.
It's just not, you're not going to make sure you get every issue. I just wait. They throw it all together in trade paperback. And it's usually cheaper if you buy the trade paperback anyway.
Yeah,
Then
that's like the I got the graphic novels. I got a few
yeah,
graphic novels where they just take the story and they just throw it all together, and there you go. Believe it or not, I have Fight Club 2 in hardback graphic novel.
nice.
I've had it for about 3 years now, and I have not picked it up and read it once.
Well, and
I haven't had
my
time. I haven't
my
had time
son
to do it.
this comic box or something there a while back, and I kept it for a year. But I got some weird stuff. Like I got a hardcover Alice Cooper comic, Welcome to My Nightmare. It's hardcover.
Yeah.
I got one. It's about the fifth Beatle
Wow.
in it. Also hardcover, and it's like a book size. It's like this,
Uh-huh.
and it's hardcover. Like I said, I have a lot of. And when I used to go Comic Cons a lot, when I went to Comic Cons, I didn't buy. Like I ain't buying Marvel and DC. I ain't buying anything that I can go to the local comic book store or the local grocery store or wherever and pick up.
Right.
When I went to Comic Cons, I pick up indie stuff. I mean, that's why it's the same way. It's like indie wrestling. You know, you want to see the cool stuff that's going to be happening later. You want to see it now? Get the indie stuff. Last time I went, it was a graphic novel. It's called The Henchman, and it's about a guy that just gets hired by all the supervillains. He's one of the henchmen, like in the old Batman series. It's henchman number 1, 2. He's one of them guys. He did the whole series. I got a lot of good stuff like that. The Broccoli Agenda. It's a guy. He lives in a superhero universe. He's born. His head looks like a thing of broccoli.
Yeah.
But naturally, everybody thinks he's a superhero. He's not, but he just goes with it. He's Doc Brock. And
Wow.
he's just a gun-toting vigilante with a guy who looks like he's got broccoli for a head. I mean, I've found a lot of cool stuff over the years. I've gotten that's indies and that are just as good as anything that's out there,
Right.
mainstream, if not better. Some of them. So, if you go to a Comic-Con, don't go and pick up wait unless you're getting back issues dirt cheap, like the quarter bins and stuff like that, just to get them. Check out the guys, the self-publishers and the indies and all that stuff, because that's some really good stuff. There's a comedy comic. One was called Laughter of the Damned, and oh my God, I laughed so hard. I usually don't laugh out loud reading something,
Yeah.
but I was in tears, and I could feel my soul being damned to hell as I was laughing, because it's the most inappropriate stuff you should be laughing at. And one of them guys spun out on his own. I think the other guys stopped doing it, and he has one called Arsenic Lullaby, and
Right.
it's the same type of stuff, and even some of the same characters. And I just picked up last year at Cincinnati his latest of that, and I was like, it was still. I'm like, it's if you like inappropriate humor, that is it.
Well, that makes sense there. 2016, I went to MegaCon in Orlando, and right before I left that day, we swung by a comic where they were selling comics. I think I picked up the reissue of like Punisher #1 or 2, or 1, 2, and 3. So I picked them up before I left, and it does make. I'm gonna have to do that when I go to a convention again. Just hit the independent ones and get what they have, because
there's so much good
I'd be
stuff.
Surprised.
And like I said, and especially the people who self-publish, they don't have to answer anybody. You're getting their and they're not having to toe the company line. If, like I said, we mentioned Todd McFarlane. Sci-Fi just had a little hour documentary about him last Friday, I think. Last Friday, Saturday. And, that's how Image was founded, was, Todd McFarlane wanted to do his own stuff, and Marvel said, no, you got to do it this way.
Yeah.
And he was like, no.
I'm gonna have to see that. Did you watched it, right?
Yeah, it was pretty decent. A lot of stuff I knew already.
Yeah.
There's actually on Amazon. It's a few years old. There's a documentary about Image Comics.
Okay.
There's a lot of good documentaries on Amazon. There's one about 2000 AD, which is out of England, that did Judge Dredd. That's
Yeah.
what Judge Dredd came out of. It's very good. If you look, if you go down the rabbit hole on your Amazon, you'll find a lot of good documentaries on comics and artists and writers, and there's even one about comic book stores throughout America, how it's a dying thing with online comics and everything else going on, and how these stores are struggling and staying alive, and how a lot of fans seeing their childhood comic book store closed, and so it's pretty good. I can't quite remember the name of it, but it's one of the newer ones on there.
I'm gonna have to check it out, man. You're giving me some good stuff to check out, man. I do appreciate that. I always like looking at new stuff and looking at different things and looking at new movies and documentaries. So I'm definitely gonna have to go on Amazon there and check out some of the stuff there you just mentioned, man. That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, podcast Tales from the Indies. There, Michael McCormick. How I got to talk to him last week was he hit me up out of the blue. He's like, hey, a hosting site, any good hosting sites, for podcasts? I'm like, actually, I do. I was like, I got Podbean. I've been using them for quite a while. And I told him about Podbean, and I was sitting there texting him, and I was like, I can't sit here and text this. I got to call you. So I called him up, and we were sitting there shooting shit there for a little bit, and pretty much he's moving Tales from the Indies over to Podbean, which is great because I can basically subscribe to it now, and it pops up on my phone. So when a new episode comes out, and I think that's great that you moved over to Podbean, and I was explaining that to Michael. I said Podbean is good. It gets all the tools and everything that you can do. I mean, even the app. I get notifications on podcasts I follow, which is great, and you can do so much with the stuff like embedding players on websites, which we do for Podcasting Network. But you guys pretty much, got quite a bit of episodes out when you guys can get together, because you're back at work. He's not really working, but he's trying to do stuff with sports and everything and stuff, but one of the last
over an hour apart, so it's not like we're really close to one another either.
Right.
It's like it's a little over an hour for me to drive. I drive over to him because he's got all the stuff.
Oh,
okay.
Like
I said, I just show up.
You show up. I didn't know how you guys did that. I didn't know if you do it like we're doing right here.
Over the phone. We were doing it over the phone. We did that a few times, and then he's did like what you're doing now. He's got the setup to where he can do it like this now, which is a lot easier. But before, like a lot of times it'd be at shows. We'd both be at shows, and before the show would start, we'd just grab somebody and say, "Hey, you want to be on a podcast?" Of course, anybody who knows a wrestler knows, especially an indie wrestler. They love to talk about themselves. So if you give them an opportunity, they're going to jump all over it.
Right. Now, when Michael was first on, and he was talking about stories of stuff that happened.
Oh, the stuff that he screwed up?
Yeah, you got a hold of me. You're like, that's all wrong. You flipped out on me about it. And I said...
I sent it to him. I said, you butchered every one of them stories and wrong information and all kinds of stuff.
But he did correct the stuff.
Yeah, I know. I heard you because he's like, because I listened to it.
Yeah.
And before I even listened to it, he sent a thing. Goes, Oh, actually, it was this night, right when he got done with you.
Yeah.
He sent a message. I corrected all the stories, you dick. Right.
Now, I want to get your take on the Virgil story there, because when he talked about when you guys were going to go, you had to pay, and then when the guy said each,
okay.
he said, I can imagine, I saw in my head, Vripper, I seen Michael holding you back, and you're like, what
Actually,
happened?
I just gave the look like, are you fucking serious? Because dude, like, here's the thing. Okay, it was a wrestling convention
Okay.
that was happening. I don't remember the town. It's up north. It's up by Cleveland, but not quite Cleveland.
Right.
If I heard the name of the town, I'd be like, that's it. But all right, so we had him on the show to promote the upcoming convention, and they had Saturday night. They had a show. I mean, he had a who's who of indie people there.
Right.
They had a show. They had people, other people, names that were there signing autographs and stuff.
Uh-huh.
They had a tournament of the. I don't know if you're familiar with Champions of the Galaxy. It's a card playing game that came out in the '80s that's still going strong today. It's kind of like,
I think I've heard of it, but not.
yeah.
Not
So
really
they had
like
like a tournament for that there.
Okay.
They had old school WWF arcade game that they were having a tournament with that with. They had a Q&A with some people from the Champions of the Galaxy. And then, he invited us to come. We set up, do podcast.
Uh-huh.
To just set up and, people come by, do podcast. And we get there. So we go Sunday. We can't make it Saturday, so we go Sunday. It's me, McCormick, and then a guy that works security with us, that's a buddy of mine, that used to work security at war shows.
Okay.
So we're like, all right. He goes, I'll go with you. I ain't got nothing to do. So we get there and walk through there, and McCormick tells him who we are and what we're there for. He goes, oh, okay. We start walking through, and then he was like, that's 15. What? $15. And McCormick gives him $15, each. I look at him like, motherfucker. But we're there now, right? So what are we going to do? So we do it and set up, and, we set up, and there's nobody there. It is dead. You got Joe. I don't know if you know who Joe Dombrowski is.
I've heard the name.
Okay, he does some comment. He's done commentating for Ring of Honor. He used to run Pro Wrestling Ohio out of the Cleveland area.
Okay, Ring of Honor.
People.
Yeah, that's okay.
Done some Ring of Honor stuff. He puts out some DVDs every once in a while. Like he does one about the Montreal Screwjob. That's, I guess everybody says pretty good. He's pretty decent guy, So he's there, and he's Paul London. Paul London's there, and they're both from the Pittsburgh area, so they came together. And then you got Greg the Hammer Valentine, who's falling asleep. He's sitting at the booth there, nobody around, and he's just like. And then you have Virgil with his classic Virgil booth with nothing but pictures of him and Ted DiBiase, and Ted DiBiase isn't there. Just for. And I don't know if you ever been on, it used to be Tumblr where they had Lonely Virgil.
No, I've heard of it.
It's just pictures of him at different conventions, sitting in a booth and nobody around him. Right? So we're looking and saying, who are we going to get for a podcast? And we're like, well, I ain't going to wake up Greg the Hammer Valentine, Even Joe posted something on Facebook. It's like, someone just asked me if Greg the Hammer Valentine was alive. But, so I was like, Virgil, want to do a podcast? I can't do podcasts. I haven't got fuck money. Dude, there ain't nobody here. And there's a mini comic convention going on in the next hall up.
Right.
And there's a big long line for that shit. All kinds of people going in for that. I even popped in there for a little bit after
Yeah.
we did. So we're like, well, what the hell? There isn't really anybody here. And then Paul London just walked over to us. Hey, what's going on here? Because he wasn't there when we set up. We knew he was there, but he wasn't there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he's like, what's going on? I said, well, we do a podcast and want to get Virgil on, but he don't want to. He says, oh, fuck Virgil, because I ain't got nothing going on. And just sat down, and we just shot the shit with Paul London for an hour. It was like, it was cool. I mean, it wasn't all wrestling based, you know. We talked a little bit of wrestling like me and you do.
Yeah.
But it was just shooting the shit like me and you do.
Yeah.
But with Paul London.
Yeah.
You know? And he was like, fuck Virgil, because I ain't doing nothing, huh? He goes, you want me to do it? We're like, hell yeah, we want. Yeah. Shit. So, yep. That's how that went. But that's not my first encounter with Virgil. I met him a few times before that. Twice before I was even involved in wrestling.
Oh, really? Really?
When I was doing my own comic and working the comic book conventions. First time was in Columbus at the now defunct Mid-Ohio Comic-Con. We had our booth, and then my buddies had a booth, but they were trying to get somebody to publish their stuff. They made up something. They was trying to find somebody who would publish it.
Right.
And then the other side of them was the Champions of the Galaxy booth, and they paid and had Virgil there with them.
Yeah.
So, well, let me go back. Let me tell you the whole convention story, if we got time. So we get there, set stuff up, and we're walking up to our room, and we walk back down. And as we're walking down, David Carradine is literally walking right beside me.
Wow.
Yeah. He turns his head, so he's like this is his head. He's turning so like his mouth's here.
Uh-huh.
Longest, loudest belch I ever heard in my life, right in my goddamn ear, and then just veered off. So the guy in front of me that I was doing the comic with, I was like, hey, Bob, did you hear that? He goes, I thought that was you. I was like, no, it's fucking Carradine. I said, get it right in my ear. So I'm talking shit about Carradine this whole convention. It's a 3-day convention. I'm talking shit about Carradine this whole time, right? And the guy, my buddies that were in the booth next to us, is like, it's almost like he's in on it. Because the restroom to that hall, you had to walk, he was down that way. He had to walk past our booth to get to the restroom.
Right.
He's like, if you're up here at the table, he's like, he is up against that back wall when he's walking. He says, if you're turned around or nothing, he's like right up against the goddamn booth when he walks by. It's just almost like he's in on it. So that's how we started, right? All right, then we meet Virgil. And Virgil will not stay in that goddamn booth. He is constantly leaving, walking around, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's talking, hey, guys, just trying to suck up to us and hoping that we'll tell him, yeah, we watched you, Virgil. You were our favorite. And Virgil was nobody's favorite ever. But, I mean, if your favorite wrestler was Virgil, I call bullshit right now. But, so anyway, I have friends live in Columbus I went to school with, so that night I went out to bars with him, went drinking.
Uh-huh.
And we were, to save money during this convention, we were eating like salami sandwiches at lunch. So I have 2 days of salami sandwiches, Burger King breakfast, and last night's alcohol, all rumbling in my stomach the last day.
Oh, damn.
I went over and I cropped. Virgil kept loving the booth. The other guy wasn't. The guy wasn't there. I went over there and crop dusted the hell out of Virgil's booth. Word to God. He comes back over there and, hey, Virgil. He's like, how's it smell over there? He goes, what'd you do? All this time before that, too, I'm trying to get him and Lou Ferrigno in a fight. Lou Ferrigno's there, and I'll go down when I go past Lou Ferrigno. I said, Virgil's down there. I said, you ain't the real Hulk. You ain't the real. He knows the real Hulk, and his name's Hogan. That's what I didn't say it. Lou Hogan said. I mean, Virgil said it. And then Virgil, Lou Ferrigno's down there saying that you weren't nothing but Ted DiBiase's bitch. And I couldn't get either one of them to fight. Right? So that's going on. And like I said, it's the last day. It's the last day of the convention. It's the last day of the convention. I'm here than a hot air balloon. And now that restroom I was talking about, you got to walk through this little foyer before you go into the actual. I see Carradine. He's going to the restroom. I feel something brewing inside. I go to that foyer. Just staying there. I wait till he comes walking out the door. I drop a bomb and walk away so that I walk through it.
Oh, damn.
And that's how he became my enemy. My arch enemy for a while was David Carradine. You think that's messed up? A few years later, Carradine, this is Carradine now. I take my nephew to the comic convention. I'm in wrestling now, and I'm not doing the comic book anymore.
Right.
But I go ahead and I take my nephew and my kids. My wife's there. She's like, well, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to sit. He goes, I'm going to sit, and you can take them in, let them spend their money before we leave. Guess who sits and hits on my wife and even gives her his fucking phone number?
David Carradine?
David goddamn Carradine.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Years later.
Karma came back at you.
So then we work to Mid-Ohio. We go to Pittsburgh. Work to Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh.
Virgil's there.
Oh, damn.
In Virgil's boots, you got to walk, unless you take the long way around. The short way to get to the restroom, you got to walk by Virgil.
Yeah.
I don't want to run any chance that Virgil remembers me.
Yeah.
Because he'll just talk and want you to build him up. That's how he is.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was telling the other two guys that do the comic with me. I said, dude, I'm taking a long way. I was like, they're like, hey, dude, we walked by and he didn't remember us. I'm like, all right, okay. So I went, God damn, hey, dog! Oh, son of a bitch! Yes, he's talking to me for like 15 minutes, dude. Finally, I walk off and I come back and I'm like, well, God damn it, he may not have noticed you. I said, but he remembered me, and they're like, yeah. They both like went, yeah, he remembered us too. I'm like, you sons of bitches. He'd already quartered them. They just make sure I got it. Now fast forward. I'm in the wrestling business now.
Uh-huh.
I'm ring announcing for Mr. Main Event in Fremont, Ohio.
Right.
He has Rhino on the card. Jake the Snake Roberts is on the card.
Uh-huh.
And Pat Tanaka's on the card.
Yeah.
And then Virgil shows up. And like a Kmart generic sweatsuit, all yellow, sweatshirt, sweatpants. I don't know if he was driving around the Midwest and a flyer hit the windshield. Well, I could be there in an hour. Gets there, shows up, tells the promoter, hey. So he sets up his booth with his merch and his bright yellow, goddamn generic 1970 sweatsuit. And Mr. Main Event decides, I'll use him. and what he wants to do something where Jake Roberts gives him DDT.
Yeah.
We're going to take Jake's DDT. He's like, nah, man, I want Jake to take my finisher. And everybody's looking like, you got a finisher? They don't say it, but you can tell everybody's thinking.
Right.
Nobody knows what Virgil's finisher is. We thought it was looking at the lights. So, Mr. Main Event goes, what's that? He goes, the Power Slam. I'm like, I looked at Peachy Rodriguez, who was there reffing. I'm like, I'm leaving. I can't.
Oh, damn.
But then when he does come out, in the bright yellow, he doesn't even have gear. He's in the bright yellow sweatsuit. He says he's there on NWO business. WCW has been defunct for like 5 years at this point. There is no NWO.
Oh, God. Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
that's how the Virgil story really went down.
That's how it went down. Okay.
He didn't want to take Jake's DDT. He wanted Jake tickets. For one, Virgil,
Power
Jake
Slam.
Roberts.
Yeah.
Virgil, Jake. No, Jake Roberts ain't taking your finisher. You're lucky
Powers.
Jake Roberts doesn't stab you for even mentioning that. Because this was still when Jake was drinking, so
Oh, damn.
he's lucky Jake didn't hear him.
Oh, damn. That's great. That's great. Michael mentioned, he said I should do a podcast where I just like get a hold of people and just talk all about Virgil's stories. And
Everybody, almost everybody in wrestling has a Virgil story.
yeah, that's what he said. That's what he said. I may take him up an idea someday, man. I may sooner or later just end up doing that there. But do you feel the same way Michael feels about Tommy Dreamer?
I'm not as mad, but there's a history with Dreamer too.
Oh,
It
damn.
doesn't seem like it, but all right. So, War Wrestling booked him to be special guest referee for one of our shows, and we reached out to him, and he never reached back out to us, and it's because he lost our number and stuff.
Right.
So one of our fans was at WrestleMania out in California, and they seen him say, "Hey, we heard you might be interested in," or no, he had a War shirt on, and Tommy Dreamer was like, "Hey, come here." He goes, "This War Wrestling?" He goes, "You know this, all this? You know these people?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "They contacted me." He's like, "And I lost their number. Get back with them." So this guy gets a hold of Big Tom. Big Tom's like, "Okay, I'll get back a hold of him." And we brought him in. He was special referee, and what he like the week, either the next night or the next weekend, was the first ECW One Night Stand.
Yeah.
We even brought in a live band. We had a live band play him out.
Damn.
The man in the box like he used to come out to.
Yeah.
And he was the special referee in this title match that we had.
Uh-huh.
And it was a title tournament. And the name of the tournament was called the Gold Rush Tournament because it was for the belt, for the gold.
Yeah.
It ain't a couple weeks later. This time, he's working at WWE at the time, and he's behind the scenes. And a couple weeks later, I think it was the Intercontinental title that was vacated. They're having a tournament on Raw. You want to know what the name of the tournament is?
Gold Rush.
It's the Gold Rush Tournament. I was like, son of a bitch. Yeah. Tommy, I guarantee you Tommy Dreamer pitched that in a meeting. So then when this is happening, Edge and Christian, and I didn't even know about it. McCormick pointed out to me, he's like, yeah, Tommy Dreamer comes on there. Actually, we was going to another show. And he turned it on, put it on.
Yeah.
I was like, motherfucker. Are you kidding me? But yeah, I mean, I just tell everybody we're the real Tales from the Indies. We're the original. Because there's another site. There's another Facebook page on there if you look. That's Tales from the Indies that hasn't been around hardly very long at all. Doesn't have very much on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I just drew on everybody's head. We are the original Tales from the Indies. We are the only real Tales from everything else is a carbon copy. I'm sure Tommy Dreamer stories are probably better than ours, but
No. Actually, I think your guys are much better because it's from the Indies.
yeah. Well, I mean, he was on the Indies for quite a while.
Yeah.
There, so, but yeah, I don't have quite the disdain for it that McCormick, once he hates something, he really hates something.
I can tell because remember when you listen back to that episode we did last week, and right before we ended, he was like giving his thoughts there on Virgil and Tommy Dreamer, so that I'm crystal clear on
Oh,
how
he hates
feels.
Justin Roberts too.
Justin Roberts.
Yeah.
Oh man.
For AEW. Yeah.
Oh
he was
God.
just telling because he'll watch AEW after I've already watched it, and he starts messaging me stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he was, hey, Justin Roberts, blah blah blah. I'm like, I like Justin Roberts.
Yeah.
He's like, so. Me being the asshole I am, whenever McCormick tells me something he hates, I will justify why it's good. Just to irritate him some more. So, but that's what I was doing with him yesterday with Justin Roberts. He swears Justin Roberts adds a G to John Moxley's name. I was like, I said, you're drunk. I have never heard him add a G. Yeah, I just must hear things. No, you hear things that ain't there. I said, Justin Roberts is great. He's like, I hate him. Yeah, that's the whole thing with Podbean is the host service we had. Oh, he went and it was down. It was going like it disappeared, like it shut down. Dude, he was like, "Oh, I'm so pissed right now." Dude, he was livid.
Was he?
Oh, I'm like, no. He goes, now I'm going to have to find a new spot, and I got to find all them episodes and upload them and all that stuff. I'm like, I said, why don't you get a hold of Everett? I'm sure he knows of a place we can go. He's like, hey, that's a good idea.
I do appreciate that because he hit me up and he's like, hey, you know any podcasting hosting sites? Yes, I do. Yeah. Why don't you use the one? I've been using Podbean for 2 years, and last year, Ripper, me and Craig James, who does Final Score on Podcasting Network, and one of the co-owners with me for Podcasting Network, we went out to Podfest 2020, or actually it was this year, Podfest 2020 in Orlando. And they had all these hosting sites doing booths. Guess which booth we walked up to and we met and we got acquainted with? Podbean. And I personally, the person that was right there, I said, thank you for the best 2 years of my life. Because helping me out and hosting my podcast, because it's better than anything I've ever done with an ex-girlfriend. Thank you so much. And they were like, you're welcome. I mean,
Hearn's very passionate about what stuff he does.
Yeah.
He's put a lot of work into Tales from the Indies.
Yes.
And when he goes to the site and it's just not there, dude, he was just fit to be tied. What you can't blame him. Like,
yeah,
he pays to be on that.
Well, I mean, the thing I like about Podbean is that you also can download that app. Right there. Yeah, see it right there. Yep.
Right
you
there.
can download the app. You can listen right on your phone there, and then their dashboard with statistics and analytics and stuff. It's great.
He likes that shit too.
Yeah.
He likes to know how many's listened to what, and
Yeah. So
I just show up. I just
Yeah.
show up and
show up.
talk.
Yeah. Well, I love your podcast. I love what you and Michael did, what you guys do, and I love just what are you guys going to do next? I sit back and say to myself, I said, what is Ripper and Michael going to do next? Who are they going to have on next? And I love it. I love what you guys do with podcasting, and I love everything that you've been doing with FGW too. And I'm excited and happy that FGW is finding other outlets to continue on during this pandemic and stuff. And I'm glad that everyone is doing well and just trying to make it through it, man. That's all.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Put your nose down and plow through this.
Yeah. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. A little bit choked up there after hearing those Virgil stories. That's great. I'm gonna have to get you back on, and we're just gonna have to start it off. It's like, hey, tell me a Virgil story you know of. I love it. I love it, and man, it's good to connect with you again. I mean, last month we did the Internet Wrestling Podcast Block Party. That was fun.
That was very cool.
Did you enjoy that?
Yes,
You did.
I enjoy doing all the anything I get to talk about wrestling, comics, or movies. Like I said, I can do this all day, every day, and never get tired of it. So
yeah, how'd you like to talk with JJ McGuire and what he was talking about? How when everything was done and said that day, and when you got off, how did you feel? It's like, wow, I just talked to JJ McGuire. How did that feel for you?
It's very cool because all the music that I know of from WWF back in the day, he had a hand in it. That's cool. He's more or less he set the tone for a match before the match started. Especially some guys, they have that music, and it's always good to have that when that music hits. Hulk Hogan, Real American Hit, boom, Ric Flair, Space Mountain, what is that, 1,000 or 10,000, whatever, Space Odyssey music. There's certain music that's just The Undertaker, boom. One of the greatest entrants of all time is The Undertaker in the music. I think adding entrance music is probably one of the best things that happened to at least televised pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Because even in a live crowd, you're in a live crowd and you're sitting there and you hear that music of that your favorite guy that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up and you're ooh like there towards the end of WCW there what the Horseman music hit. Oh,
yeah,
that is some of the greatest. I love the entrance music of the Horseman.
It's amazing.
When that hit, I was like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, it was great having him come on there, and I love the questions that you asked him, man. And he's
seen a lot of stuff. He has seen a lot of stuff through the years that that a lot of people did, and like I said, not being from the wrestling background, he's a whole different area, and he got to be involved. Hulk Hogan's calling him up, asking him how much it is to do a song for him.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
I know, and he got to see a part of Hogan that no one ever gets to see.
Yeah, he got to be on a TV show with him for how many seasons did that run? One season,
but it was still the highest syndicated show overseas in history. Still, they still syndicate it in other countries, which is crazy. That's more than Baywatch. and that's amazing. And I mean, he's best friends with Jimmy Hart. They played in the Gentrys before wrestling, and they got into wrestling, doing music and going back and forth and talking about how to come up with this theme and that theme. They come up with so many damn themes, man. It's amazing, and just, you don't ever every day get to like talk to someone like that, and you get to, hey, and it's like, hey, how'd you come up with this? What's your favorite theme, or what'd you do? And that was great that you guys. It was great.
And how many artists write that? Different styles. How many different styles of music did he have to write, depending on the person that he was writing for? I mean, you got Demolition coming out with kind of heavier stuff that, compared to, like, sure, Real Americans, good, but come on, dun 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 dun, Demolition. I mean,
yeah,
come on. It just that takes great talent. I mean, to not just pigeonhole yourself. Instead, okay, I'm a rock and roll guy. This is what I do, but nothing else. But he does all kinds of music, which is, a lot of people don't do that. They just find that one style they like, and that's what they stick to.
Yeah. He has that wide range of music, which is fantastic. And I call when I told him the idea I was gonna do and who I was gonna have on. And I asked him, I said, would you be a part of it? He said, yeah, count me in. I said, excellent. I love that. And I laugh at because I watched it back a while back ago, and I was laughing at the part where you're like, I should have been first choice, not Robin Nelson. And I love Robin. I love everything I've done and worked with Robin. And in the back of my mind, I had, he's probably not going to do this, but it's like I crossed my fingers and I had high hopes. And then when he couldn't do it, I was like,
yeah, that's the thing about shoot jobs.
Yeah, they do. And
so he was going to do the car wash too, and he couldn't come to the car wash because they did his inventory where he was at all weekend. But
damn,
yeah, but come on, second choice to Robin Nelson. Ripper Blackhart, second choice to Robin Nelson. Come on.
Well, after
even Robin Nelson knows that's crazy.
The views that we got from that, Ripper, you're going to be first choice from now on, man, because you brought in a lot of FGW talent that when they saw Ripper Blackheart, they jumped on as like, what's Ripper doing? Hey, he's talking to JJ McGuire. Are you kidding me? What's going on here? And then, of course, you had David C. Russell with Deathmatch Russell podcast. Very, very good podcast.
He's saying he wants me to come on, but he doesn't get a hold of me, David.
I'll message him. I'll jump on his ass for you. I will. I know you got probably some deathmatch stories up your sleeve there. I mean, you can tell.
I don't know, but I do, I haven't really been involved with a lot of them, but I know a lot of people that do. Like, Ron Mathis is a good person he should get a hold of, which if he has, I'm sure he probably has, but if he hasn't, he definitely needs to get a hold of Ron Mathis. He's that's his bread and butter, the death match, but that's just, he can wrestle too.
Yeah.
Ron Mathis is just a great performer, great wrestler, great everything that he does. Like, and here in Ohio, there's just Ohio, Michigan, Indiana. There's so many guys that I see, and I'm like, oh, I don't know why these guys aren't signed.
Yeah.
Somewhere, even if it is Impact, even if it is Ring of Honor, and it's not AEW and it's not WWE. Like, I believe McCormick brought up, we're trying to get Aaron Williams to come on next one. Oh my, Aaron Williams is just, If you have not seen an Aaron Williams match, go look it up. The guy he just smooth like water in that ring, man. He is probably one of the most underrated guys outside of in Ohio. Everybody knows about Aaron Williams. Everybody respects the worker. But outside of Ohio, I'm not sure everybody is aware of him, and you should be, because I can't say enough good stuff. Like I said, I could go on and on with guys, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, some guys in Chicago that we use at war. I've been blessed to get to work with a lot of great talent between all the places that I work, and I can't, like I said, I wish every single one of them could get signed somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Michael, he mentioned about Aaron Williams, and I'm gonna have to look him up. I am definitely gonna have to look at some matches with him. But Jimmy Baxter, what he does with the Rogue Opinions, I love that. Kayfabe Court, if you get a chance to listen to that, I was laughing my ass off on that one they were doing on that. I forget which episode it was. I went back and listened to it when I first had Jimmy on. Come on. I was laughing my ass off. I said, man, this is some great stuff, because it's just, doing the kayfabe court is just great. But
now, what's the promotion he's associated with?
Pro Wrestling Magic.
Pro Wrestling Magic, because I wanted to look that up, and I couldn't remember what it was, so I wanted to look into that, because Jimmy said he thought it'd be something that I would enjoy, so
yeah,
I'll definitely check that out. And I'll check out Knockout there in Florida. Listen to the Velvet Pipes of Everett Lee calling the match.
Yes. If you go on the Knockout Wrestling Facebook page, they got the first 2 episodes out of Knockout TV, they call it, and I know you're gonna enjoy it. I think this Wednesday of this recording, the episode will be out, the 3rd episode, which is going to be good, because I did pull out a little bit of Bobby Heenan for inspiration for this one, because when I looked at this match, and it's a gauntlet match, I will spoil that much. When I looked at this gauntlet match, I said, I got to go Heenan on this. And I love it, and I hope everyone else loves it, though. But man, it's been great sitting there talking to you, and I can't believe how fast time goes, man. When I'm talking with Ripper Blackheart.
Like I said, I wish I could get paid to do this.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually, I mean, I got affiliate programs, which everyone, when they listen to this episode, before it begins and in the middle of this episode, there's affiliate programs. If you click on those links, it will help Everett Lee out. So be sure to
help
do
out
that.
your boy. Help out your boy, Everett.
How about my boy? I want to know where people that listen to the Everett Lee Show can keep up with Ripper Blackheart from FGW Shockwave every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube for Future Great Wrestling. Where can he keep up with Mr. Blackheart at on social media?
I have a Ripper Blackheart Facebook page. That's about as far as go. I don't do Twitter. That's how the government gets you, is to Twitter, Everett. I don't know if you know that or not, but the Twitter's how the government will get you. So every Wednesday night on the FGW YouTube page, there is Shockwave. I'm usually on it or announcing or somewhere in there most of the time. You can always hit up the FGW page on Facebook, War Wrestling on Facebook, OCW on Facebook, New Ohio on Facebook. New Ohio Wrestling puts stuff out on Fight TV. You can see me on there. OCW puts out stuff on Facebook. I don't know if they do YouTube or not, but you can see me on there. War Wrestling has a YouTube page. You can see a lot of me on that and hear a lot of me on there. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Since you plugged that, I'm going to plug this right here. Podcasting Network, your top source for independent podcasting. Head over to podcasting.net for great content and great shows over on the website. Hit them up on Facebook, Podcasting Network. Give them a thumbs up and a follow. Send them a tweet over on Twitter at PodcastingNet. Subscribe to their YouTube channel for video podcast over on Podcasting Network and on Twitch, Podcast City Network. You want more Everett Lee? Then hit me up on Facebook. Give me a thumbs up and a follow, Everett Lee Show. Twitter at the Everett _Lee. Instagram, Everett Lee Show. And audio portions of this podcast and previously released podcast, head over to YouTube, the Everett Lee Show, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Podbean, and iHeartRadio. When I need a logo or graphic design done, I use 3 Count Design. 3 Count Design offers a wide range of graphic design products, video, photography, and other forms of media. Everything from t-shirt designs to websites. For more information, head over to facebook.com/3countdesign. That is facebook.com/3countdesign. When I want to kick back a few cold ones with my friends, I head over to City Limits Taproom. City Limits Taproom has a wide selection of TVs to watch your favorite sports, indoor and outdoor seating, and they are pet friendly. City Limits Taproom also has food made fresh to order, and the grilled cheese is excellent. I recommend the grilled cheese and the apple pie cider with fries on the side. You can't go wrong with that, baby. For more information for upcoming events, head over to facebook.com/City Limits Taproom. Ripper Blackheart, thank you for coming back on here. We got to do this again sometime.
Anytime, ever. Like I said, I do this all day, all night, 24/7.
I know, brother. I know. And that's it for the Everett Lee Show. Everett Lee signing off. Thank you, everyone, for downloading this episode. And I'll see you again next week for another episode of the Everett Lee Show.